Sure, you can always shop around for flooring, but in the end, it all leads back to the one place you probably should have started, the experts at Carpet One. Save yourself the time and the hassle and let Carpet One help you find the right product at the right price, beautifully installed, guaranteed. Come see the One, Carpet One, on the Business Loop in Columbia.
And welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, May the 20th. It's good to have you with us today. I've got Joy Sweeney, Counsel for a Drug-Free Youth. Good to have you here, Joy. Came all the way up from Jeff City. It's always a pleasure to have you. And you know, we're talking about many different topics today before we came on the air. But your main concern is getting the message across to young people.
Absolutely.
To stay away from drugs.
Perfect. That's exactly what Counsel for Drug-Free Youth is all about. It's empowering our youth to live drug-free.
Yeah. When you think about young people like to experiment and see, what is it like? Is this going to be good? Is this going to be fun? What am I going to get out of it? And is it going to hurt me to try a little bit once in a while? What do you say?
Well, and you know, I mean, that's a great question, and parents ask us that all the time. And you know, absolutely it's going to hurt you, especially the young brain is not fully developed. And so often when you're in that experimental age, you're usually between the ages of 13 and 18 or 19. You're young, your brain doesn't fully develop. Scientists, research has taught us this, that your brain is not fully developed until you're about 21 to 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have a restrictive age on drinking. You know, we've got it regulated where you can't drink until you're 21 because we know that it rewires your brain. Mm-hmm. So do all drugs. All drugs rewire your brain so that your brain doesn't communicate the way it would if you let it get healthy and reach adulthood.
So what you're saying is the young people who start experimenting with alcohol or drugs are doing more harm than someone who perhaps is 25 or 30 years old and uses alcohol or drugs.
Absolutely.
Because the brain has already been wired. But are you resetting some of those circuits even though if you're in the 20s or 30s?
Of course. Well, that's why we still have adult alcoholics, you know, but the thing about it is, typically in an adult, once your brain is already wired and you've got everything working properly, then what happens is it takes about 5 years to become an alcoholic. So the reasoning and your memory and your cognitive abilities are in place, so you can see yourself kind of turning off the trajectory where you want to go, and you think about the future, and you see yourself veering off course. Whereas when you're young and your brain is getting rewired, it almost stops your social emotional growth in that level. So you basically remain 13 or 15 until you learn how to develop those maturity skills that you would have developed gradually had you not been using drugs.
Okay, let's say you're a teenager and you've used drugs for 3 or 4 years, and then all at once you stop.
Yes.
Is the brain going to get back to normal, or have you done permanent damage?
Now, I am not a psychobiologist or a science expert on the brain, but from what I have been taught, it can be restored. The parts that can't be restored, the connections that cannot be restored, can be taught. So you can learn skills, life skills and maturity skills, so that you can learn how to behave like an adult or act like an adult.
It's kind of like thinking about seeing the lung.
Yeah.
And when you smoke cigarettes, your lung becomes black if you smoke enough of it. With that tar,
Absolutely.
It becomes black. But if you stop smoking, it starts to regenerate again and turn to normal color after a while.
Absolutely. And that is a very similar, good analogy, perfect analogy, because smoking is, tobacco, nicotine is a drug, and that tar in your lungs does destroy your lungs, and that's what kills so many people in our country every year. And that's why one of the many initiatives that we're working on is increasing the age of your ability to purchase tobacco products to 21.
And what about the e-cigarettes?
The federal government just, I believe it was last week, mandated or dictated that e-cigarettes, vapes, and all those products are now reclassified them as tobacco products.
Okay.
So that's the word I was looking for. So
Now, it's been in the news a lot lately about the medical use of marijuana, and some states have legalized
yes, actually.
marijuana for medical use. What's wrong with that?
Well, the problem that we have with it, first of all, not just me personally or Council for Drug-Free Youth, the American Academy of Pediatrics has said that there is currently no published studies on the efficacy of marijuana as a medication, especially in children. Okay? While there are studies that have shown chemicals in marijuana do help patients with some chronic conditions, these studies have only been conducted on adults. And they're not the whole marijuana plant. There are certain chemicals. There are over 400 chemicals in any given marijuana plant. Only 2 have been found to help adult patients with some chronic diseases. That's 2, the THC and the CBD oil. Those are the only 2 substances out of 400 chemical compounds.
But they have been shown to help adults.
If it's extracted and used under certain conditions, yes.
Right. Okay.
So it's not marijuana. It's a chemical derivative of the plant. Just like we don't say, yes, go smoke go smoke a poppy plant, and that'll give you the same painkiller. We don't say take heroin and that'll be a solution.
Right. I see your point there. I know exactly what you're talking about. If you want more information on any of this, do you have a website for Council for Drug-Free Youth that people can go to?
Absolutely. It's www.JCCDFY.org.
And what are people going to see on this website?
Mostly they'll see kids having fun and engaging in empowering activities, because that's what we try and promote prevention so that they don't ever start. But then there's also links for parents, links for students, ways to get involved, ways to become a community advocate to help your community stay drug-free.
Parents that are listening to us right now, or grandparents or aunts or uncles that are listening, how do they talk to their young people? And we're almost out of time.
Well, quickly, there's some links on our website that can teach you just actually conversations, sample conversations, how to bring it up, how to not get engaged in angry conversations, but speak honestly and openly with your children and start young.
Okay. Joy Sweeney, thank you so much for coming by. Always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Council for Drug-Free Youth in Jefferson City, and you come up here to Columbia, the whole area.
Yes.
All right.
We cover all of Central Missouri.
Got it. Monday, we've got John Wright on, our farmer representative. We're out of time for today. If there's something you'd like to hear or see, drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu.